this idea that when the stock jumps so much, what would you be doing if you were the CFO at that company at this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, everything that's old is new now. Everybody thought IPOs were going away, and guess what? They come roaring back. I honestly, like Joe and others, don't believe that one-day pop is that meaningful. It's about creating value over a longer term. And if I was a CEO or CFO, I would be sitting down and looking at the follow-on for the company to get more money in with lower dilution at that opportunity. So yeah, one-day pops don't mean anything. Long-term value is the most important.
But if you were trying to figure out how to take advantage of that, would you be looking at issuing more shares right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. You've got lockups, but I would be looking at a follow-on offering very quickly with under the constraints that the bankers put on us. But yes, absolutely. That's how you capture that incremental value as soon as you can under your constraints.
Hey, Chip, you own a large number of shares of Airbnb. What did you think of how things went off yesterday?
I've been involved with the company for 8 years now. I've been the in-house mentor to Brian. I was the head of global hospitality and strategy. So 8 years of toil and 12 years for the founders of toil. It was a true validation. But you can't, as Steve said, you can't judge a stock or a company based upon a day's performance in the stock market. And what we have to do is just continue it going and, create a legacy-based company that is focused on the long term.
I would say watching that yesterday, and particularly after 8 years of toil, it would be understandable if you wanted to cash in on some of that right now, make sure that, you have something to show for that. Is that your inclination, or are you planning to hold those shares?
The thing that's interesting is that Airbnb, testament to Brian's leadership, gave the employees the ability to actually sell some of their shares in the last couple of days, or yesterday. So that's unusual. Usually you're locked up 6 months. But Airbnb employees and former employees were able to sell up to 15% of their shares. I know many are. I have not sold up to 15%. I've sold some percentage, but not. I still am pretty bullish about the company. But the fact that employees could actually sell yesterday and the price did as well as it did says there's a lot of pent-up demand for Airbnb stock.
Chip, what does it mean for the company at this point? How do you do things differently? I know we heard from Brian Chesky about how, look, maybe in the past they had talked about going too many different directions, and he's going to be very much about focus. That's one thing that the pandemic taught him.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey to be by his side for the last 8 years and 4 years full-time and now 4 years as an advisor, because I think focus is really one of the things he learned from studying Steve Jobs. And Steve said over and over again, it's what's most important is what you say no to. So I think that, the thing that's true about Airbnb is it's kind of a very iconic brand at a very early stage in its career, in its history. 91% of Airbnb's business comes from direct or organic search, not from paid search. So I think that, Airbnb should be looking at, and this is just my opinion, how do you actually grow beyond just being a travel company? How could the company be almost like a lifestyle curator? Just like Netflix helps you find your movie, Amazon helps you find what to buy, Spotify helps you find what to listen to. Airbnb should personalize in such a way that it helps you to determine what to do, not just where to travel to.
Hey, Steve, as somebody who has been through this many times over, the IPO, what happens next, what would you be advising these companies? It's so much focus put into this IPO. Now you turn around and do what? Particularly if you have IPOs that have done that well. I mean, it's probably easy to get caught up in the bubble and the hype around all of that and the excitement about it. But what would you be advising these management teams to do at this point?
Right, that's a great question. First off, I'd go celebrate. One day, great opportunity, close the door and move on. But it is about the long run, and you have to run a business here. And this is the new door that opens when you go public, is having that business be sustainable long-term, contribute to the community, contribute to the employees. So it's heads down And it's the next 10 years that makes the real value of the company, quite frankly, going forward. So it's get your game plan together, as Chip said, get some focus, but look at your platform expansion and just go.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.